I'd like to thank God for blessing my life with this human being of a man whom is here to be of maximum service to God and us here today in the Netherlands. God, you commissioned this man, this person, to come into my life to give me wings to soar, to fly in this existence of life you've given me. For that, I'm entirely grateful. I'll start with that prayer so I can thank God, as our next speaker is a wonderful instrumental man of God that has touched my life in a way that I could never imagine with what he's passed on to me. And through that, I've helped a lot of people along the journey, and that's been the bright spot of my life. Because what we do in Cocaine Anonymous, he passes it on to me and I'll pass it on to you. And that's what we do. I am proud to call him my sponsor, my spiritual advisor, my role model, my friend, my mad dog, my road dog. We've done a lot together. I knew this man before I reached out to him, but I finally reached out. It was at a convention somewhere, I can't remember exactly where. It was a long, long time ago. It was 17, 18 years ago. And I heard him talking at a convention, and he mentioned that he didn't want a relationship with God. And I was like, huh? Where's this going? Until, he went on to say, I want and need a love affair with God. And that's the first time ever that I'd heard it like that. So the minute he steps off the podium, I'll say, hey, are you ready to show me how I can have this love affair with God? He's always been there for me, showing me and always showing me a life worth living. We've shared a lot together in a world of truth and knowingness. Today I can say I've had a life worth living, and the journey continues as we both continue to grow closer to God as the layers become peeled. In our friendship, in our relationship, and our love affair can then flourish. I ask God to keep every one of you open to receive whatever God wants and needs you to hear today through our next speaker, my awesome friend, Mike D.
I'm an addict. My name's Mike D. I'm an addict. My name's Mike D. I'd like to first thank the Spirit of a living God that has brought me thus far. I'd like to thank this awesome committee and the fellowship here in Holland, Amsterdam, Europe, for embracing me the way they have for a number of years now. I'd like to thank my teachers, beginning with Brother Alton, Joe Hawk, and Mark Houston, and now Mr. C, Carter S, for imparting with me what was imparted to them. and put them on a journey that for every one of them, when they came to us, they stayed. For that, I'll be forever grateful. I don't know if you're like me. By the end of this, hopefully you can identify as to whether you are like me, regardless of gender, regardless of race, regardless of physical makeup, regardless of religious preference. There's a common denominator that flows through the rooms of Cocaine Anonymous that makes us family. And it doesn't matter, and it isn't contingent on any of those factors. It's contingent on step one, and that's it. So I'm just delighted, man. You couldn't have told me my life would be what it is today when I started this journey. Some 30 years, 4 months, and 6 days ago. If Brother Alton had put 3 crystal balls in front of me and said, map your life out, Mike, in 30 years, I would have not come close to what it is today. I'm grateful. I love what we do in Cocaine Anonymous. I love what happens in Cocaine Anonymous for those of you that embrace what we do in Cocaine Anonymous. There's a piece in the Big Book of Alcoholics Anonymous, which is our basic text, chapter 7, working with others. It says, practical experience shows that nothing will much ensure immunity from drinking or using as intensive work with other alcoholics and addicts. It works when other activities fail. This is our 12th suggestion. Carry this message to other alcoholics and addicts. You can help when no one else can. You can secure their confidence when others fail. Remember, they are very ill. Life will take on new meaning. To watch people recover, to see them help others, to watch loneliness vanish, to see a fellowship grow up about you, to have a host of friends. This is an experience you must not miss. We know you will not want to miss it. Frequent contact with newcomers and with each other is the bright spot of our lives. So here's what I'd like you to do. How'd y'all like this convention so far? How'd y'all like this convention so far? Well, I want you to get up, grab somebody, give them a hug, and tell them I love you. Get up, grab somebody. Show your gratitude for Cocaine Anonymous and the fellowship that we have here. Great big hugs, great big I love you. Let's give this awesome convention committee a hand. Let's give them a hand. Let's give them a hand. I love you too. Thank you. Hey, hey, hey. Something happened a little over 28 years ago. I had been in treatment again. I had not really considered the ramifications of that. I didn't go into American Recovery Center to stop doing everything. I just went into treatment because it was a safe haven, because the police was looking to lock me up. So I came up with one of my master plans like I had for numerous years to escape responsibility for my actions. Little did I know that God's plan that He had in effect for me since the very beginning of my first breath continued to reveal itself. As a result of that, I was introduced to the 12-step rooms of a number of fellowships. As a result of that, I stayed separated from Heron for 14 months. As a result of that, I did one of the many things they passed on to us to do as a result of those 12-step fellowships coming in with panels. And that was go to meetings, get a sponsor, work the steps. Well, getting kicked out of that recovery program, treatment program, there is a difference, you know, treatment and recovery, right? I went to meetings. Because deep down inside of me, there was a piece of me that desired not to do what I do. And I say do what I do because it's still very evident today. You know, I'm not your typical speaker. Big Book talks about what happened, what it was like, and what's happening now. I don't particularly stick to that format. I pray and ask God to use me and speak through me, and I believe what He wants me to bring to you, I bring to you. And I'm at peace with that. I'm here to talk to somebody. I don't know you, or I might know you. You might be new, or you might be old. But something in your spirit is stirring. And you're restless, you're irritable, you're discontent. And the young lady who spoke before me talked about it a little bit. You got a hole in your gut. And you've done everything we've asked you to do. You've gone to 90 meetings. By the way, I'm a fan of that shit too. I don't like that shit. You've gone to 90 meetings in 90 days. You've got a sponsor. You've taken a half-ass walk through the 12 steps. You show up on some type of a regular basis and you're dying. In the quietness of your heart, way deep, dark in the night, when you're by yourself, your spirit is crying because you're still hurting. You've kind of brought into the idea of what we tell you here don't really work. What am I doing? You got a buddy that you don't even know he's your buddy that walks beside you daily, 24/7. You've never realized that. You think because you've come to Cocaine Anonymous, everything should be peaches and cream. Life should just pass you by and you should frolic through the tulips, happy, joyous, and free. If somebody's told you that, they've lied to you. This is a journey worth living, but this is a journey where you must do something. And our textbook talks about it all through, not just the first 164 pages, all through the big book of Alcoholics Anonymous. In the recovery process and in the stories, it talks about things that we must do. But being who we are, we don't believe that shit. It warns us about half measures avail us nothing, but we don't believe that. It tells us recovery is about a successful consummation of all 12 steps, but we don't believe that. We'll get to step 9 and do a couple amends and think our life should have straightened out by now. And when it hasn't, we get pissed off at God. What you talking about, Mike? What? Been there, done that. Dark night of the soul. Dark night of the soul, when you've done everything that you think you could do and you wonder, God, where are you, man? You said you'd be my father, my director, my principal, my new employer. Have you abandoned me? Because my life ain't looking like I think it should look. Not realizing the very reason that you came to see us is the very reason you're in the dilemma that you're in. So I'm grateful for my teachers. My teachers did not spare the rod to spoil the child. They didn't pat me on my little butt and tell me this too shall pass. They didn't tell me just keep coming back. They told me stuff like stay your ass here. They told me stuff like sit down, put the cotton in your mouth and open your ears. They told me stuff like work the steps, like the dying and the desperate. They told me stuff like, are you willing to believe? You don't have to believe, Mike, but are you willing to believe? And I was at such a place in my life that I had no place else to go. Somebody in here this afternoon, you ain't finished. You got options. You got choices. Big Book of Alcoholics Anonymous talks about 3 types of people that come to see us: the moderate, the hard, and the real guy. A lot of people that come to see us never find out which one of them they are. And it's usually the real guy, because he's usually the guy that uses our door as a revolving door. He keeps coming back, slurps our coffee, kisses our women. I could go on and on. They never tap into what we really do here. They never tap into the club in the club. Then they wonder why they're dying. So I'm grateful for what's happened for me. I'm grateful that some 30 years later, tears ran last night when I stood up and realized I was the oldest person at this convention. Dope fiend. Heroin addict. Not heroin, heroin. Love affair with heroin and 8th Avenue, Harlem, New York. Loved the lifestyle. Loved the going to the edge and dangling one foot over to see if I could hang on. Being God. Not thinking I was God, being God. The grace and the beauty of that is that He allowed me to do that. I was thinking, earlier, not what I was going to speak about, but I was thinking my journey and love affair with heroin. And heroin, where I come from, was the dregs of the barrel. It was the bottom. It was the pits. You were a junkie. People looked at you with disgust. You had no control over your bodily functions. You stood on corners slobbering and drooling and nodding and drooping. Your family disowned you. Society had no respect for you. And I wondered, I said, why? I'm always talking to my God, because he's got the answers. You guys don't. Somebody thinks their sponsor can save their ass. Sponsor can't save my, Mr. C cannot save my ass. When heroin comes looking for me, he cannot save me from heroin. Why? Because he's human, just like I am. I thought, why? Why heroin? Why couldn't I just drink sociably like some of my brothers? I'm the youngest of 4 brothers. 9 years between me and my brother next to me, all different personalities. Oldest brother, gangster, died with his pistol under his pillow. Second brother, evangelist, spiritual, religious man. Third brother, Bobby, philosopher, painter, sculptor, artist. First college graduate of the 5 of us. My brother Edward, doo-wop 50s crooner. Oldies. Ladies man. Process. Anybody know what a process is? Conqueline. Lie. You put it in your hair and then you walk. If you don't get it out soon enough, it'll burn your scalp up. But what you do is you get straight hair as a result of it. I wonder why he made me the black sheep of the family. I know why today. I wondered why he allowed me the experiences that I had with heroin and concrete and pavement to keep me alive through all that. Jails, treatment programs, back in the 60s, 70s, we had social clubs. We didn't have gangs, but we'd have streets, fighting streets with switchblades and chains and all kind of stuff, and zip guns. Back then we had zip guns. That's back in the day stuff. I don't know if you know about that stuff, but through all that, he brought me through all that. Why? And it became very simple. And somebody in here this afternoon that's complicating your experience and your story, it's very simple what you're going through. You're going through it to get to a moment when someone comes to you and asks you, how did you do it? How'd you make it? And hopefully you will have done what we do in the nucleus of this program. You have cultivated a personal relationship with God, a love affair. Passed on to me in my 3rd, 4th year of recovery. You can fall in love, Mike, with any nappy head, sorry looking so-and-so. Why don't you fall in love with God, Mike? And see what happens with that relationship. See how that love feels. And again, I was at a place in my life where I took GW's advice. And I began to cultivate a real love affair with God as best I could. One of the hangups that we have here in Cocaine Anonymous and in recovery is that you want to be perfect. There's only one that's perfect. I've been no different than you. But over the years, I've learned how to give myself a break. My humanness will show up. The altered part of me will show up. I will not, 30 years, 30 days, there'll come times when I will not know what to do. I'll be blinded to the truth. Still, people say, so why are you still here and why you still do your recovery the way you do? Because I'm fucking insane. I'll do shit without thinking about it. And I'm not afraid to admit it. I'm not afraid to be transparent. Thank God for my teachers. Thank God that Mark taught me about the resurgence of the ego. That all 12 steps are meant to go through on some type of regular basis. Why? Because I show up again. And having done 1 through 9 one time and living in 10, 11, and 12 does not suffice for the smashing of the ego. I need to see 30 years later that Heron is still on my ass. So I'm in the 9th step again for the umpteenth time and willing to do the work. And to be quite honest, struggling at times because there's an altered part of me that talks to me. Talks to me still. But thank God for the spirit of a living God. A God whose voice outweighs that my buddy's voice. Yeah, Heron is my buddy. We hung out for a very long time. He helped me to get through 112th Street, 116th Street, 8th Avenue, Lenox Avenue. Helped me to stand when they were stabbing and shooting and throwing people off roofs for all kind of stuff. ODing. Found out I had a purpose. All that was meant to get me here to Holland this weekend to talk to somebody. And if one somebody hears what I have to say this afternoon, my job is done. Big Book says you have a new employer. Do you have a new employer? Do you have a new director where you actually listen to get directions? You follow the prompts. And you get better at it. You don't do it perfectly, but you get better at it. Who you were a year ago, you're not that same person today. Do you recognize that and take that in as being healthy and prosperous and in the nucleus of what we do? It's time to stop beating ourselves up, ladies and gentlemen. It's time to receive the blessing that God has given you. If you're sitting here this afternoon, you're blessed. Somebody out there in Den Haag is on a corner, hungry, half naked, and don't have no place to go. Wanting a cup of coffee, and we got thermoses and fountains out there with a bunch of coffee and hot water and tea. Real simple stuff that we take for granted. There's a piece in my workbook, Bridge to Shore, 12-step workbook, surrender versus compliance. It says, we are thus confronted with the question, what does produce wholehearted acceptance? The answer is surrender. But surrender is a step not easily taken by human beings. There is another phenomena, namely compliance, which is basically partial acceptance or partial surrender, and which often serves as a block to surrender. Compliance means agreeing and going along with, but in no way implies enthusiastic, wholehearted assent and approval. The cooperation is a bit grudging, a little forced. One is not entirely happy about agreeing. Compliance is therefore a word which portrays mixed feelings, divided sentiments. It is the nature of the word to have this two-faced quality of agreeing and then reneging. Compliance creates other problems for the individual, since it says yes on the surface and no inside. It contributes to the sense of guilt and inferiority. The guilt reaction increases the sense of inferiority. The unconscious situation can be outlined as thus. Compliance is a form of agreeing, of never standing up for oneself. When that response is automatic, routine, and unvarying, the individual gets a feeling that he cannot stand up for himself. This inevitably augments his or her inferiority problems. After an act of surrender may seem a small loss, the individual reports a sense of unity, of ended struggles, of no longer divided inner counsel. He or she knows the meaning of inner wholeness. And what is more, he knows from immediate experience the feeling of being wholehearted about something. Before he or she was able to embrace the program, they had no idea he or she was a liar, dishonest in his or her thoughts. So there's a question that I had to ask myself many years ago. And the question was, what are you really doing here, Mike? Are you really here just to be a part of a fellowship and hang out and do conventions and go to meetings and show up when people ask you to show up, and if you're asked to sponsor somebody and take them through a piece of work and be willing to do that? And what are you really doing here? It boiled down to a very simple question. Does your life depend on what happens in the nucleus of Cocaine Anonymous? Is your very breath to breathe contingent on what we do here? But it moved from here to this being done in all types of places, man. And do you want to be a part of a universal movement? For real? And can you afford not to do that? And the answer was no. I want to live. I want to breathe. I want to not be consumed by this outside deal of money, property, prestige, like me, don't like me, love me, don't love me, in a relationship, not in a relationship, married, not married, altered me, real me. I got to a place where that was unacceptable. And I became willing to dig just a little bit deeper. And when you become willing to peel the layers, it's interesting how God will send you the peelers to help you peel. He'll send you what you need. You'll bring yourself to the experience, and God will give you what you need to move through the experience. And as a result of that, my life has blossomed into something that the only thing I can say about it is that God is. Has nothing to do with me. is that I became willing to believe in those teachers that were put in front of me and believe that what happened for them could happen for me. So my first year recovery was very unstable, because I was in a place where I knew something was wrong with me. I didn't know exactly what was wrong with me, but I knew I had a problem. The majority of me thought the problem was heroin. The majority of me thought the problem was 112th Street and 8th Avenue. The majority of me thought the problem was Harlem, New York. The majority of me thought the problem was that Daddy had Edward, Bobby, Reggie, and Junior, and then left Mama and left her, and 9 years later creeped back and had me, and Mama would not dispose of me. So no daddy, no dominant male figure in the household. But there was. It just wasn't visible. I couldn't see it. Didn't understand it then. Didn't understand Mama in the mornings getting up. The first thing she did was kneel by the side of her bed, open her Bible, read, and pray. Didn't understand it, even though I grew up in a church the first 10 years of my life. They seeded me with spiritual principles. Still didn't understand what they were talking about. Didn't understand the little phrases that they would drop as I'd sit in church every Sunday, sometimes all day. Like, if you take him for your partner, you can make your plans larger. He is the light of the world, Mike. Seek and ye shall find, knock and the door will be opened. Really didn't understand that stuff. But they planted seeds in me. Thank God for those 3 women, man. And their wisdom and their understanding of what's needed for an individual in order to live. Made a conscious decision at the age of 10 to go the other way. Didn't want that religious, spiritual stuff. Was needed, though. It was needed. In their infinite wisdom, they knew if I stayed alive and physically was not taken out of here, there would come a day when I would need God. And I've come 360 degrees back to that. Those teachings and that implanting of wisdom as far as the God idea. I got to a place as a result of being in an American hospital in 1987 that I knew I had a problem. And like I said, I thought the problem was heroin. So like Danny said last night, I tried to do something about it. For 20-something years, tried to do something about it. First treatment program at age of 19, Synanon. Granddaddy of treatment programs in the States. Left New York and came to California. That didn't fix me. At 17, I was beyond human aid. Couldn't no physical anything fix what was wrong with me. Ran the gamut of treatment programs and outpatient methadone programs and methadone maintenance programs and geographics and all the things that we do to try to get a handle on what's killing us, and nothing worked until 1987. And the seed that was planted there that blossomed into all the other seeds that I had been planted with. And it hasn't stopped yet. Grew up very poor in those streets of New York. Some at wintertime, holes in the bottom of my shoes, and family very poor and indigent, and Mama couldn't buy me shoes, so she'd put cardboard in my shoes to make sure my feet wouldn't touch the ground in the snow. I could go on and on and on with that stuff, but as a result of that, my life has grown into something that's unbelievable, and it's waiting for somebody in this room this afternoon. What the God of my understanding has done for me, the God of your understanding can do for you. You just got to be willing to let him. What I find is that that's my biggest problem. There's times I'm not willing. There's times I'm not willing to abandon what I think I know, and I become willing to rely on what's happened in the past and give my energy and my strength into that, not even realizing it didn't work then, it ain't gonna work now. But in so many areas, when I became willing to believe, okay, let me step into the void, let me grab his hand, let me let him guide me and direct me, phenomenal things have happened. I'm a product of 2 marriages where I said I was never getting married again. Before the first one, I said I wasn't getting married. I watched my brother's marriages and their physical violence and their detestment of women and the way they treated them. And I said, and I knew my father had left my mother and she was heartbroken. I never saw her in a relationship or go out with a man ever in my life. What I know now is she married God. She married Jesus. That's what that praying and that meditation in the morning was about. Guess what? That's what we do upon awakening when we retire. She'd entered into a relationship with God. In my knowingness today, I know that was another seed that was planted. And she did it religiously. So I've gravitated in my life to a place of, I'm willing to be whoever you would have me be. I'm willing to do what you would have me do. I'll go where you say go. I'll work with whoever you want me to work with. And do that willingly. I don't turn anybody down that asks me for sponsorship or take them through the work. I don't care how many sponsees I got. Because the majority of the time, the sponsees, they fire themselves. I don't fire them because they're not willing. They say they're willing in the beginning, but or they hear you speak at a convention or at a meeting and they all fired up and they want your number and they're going to call you or email you or Skype you or whatever, and something happens after the meeting, the fire dies out. Thank God my fire hasn't died out. I know Heron's waiting for me. I know 112th Street and 8th Avenue is still there. Just left there. Father's Day. Harlem reunion. Couple left that I grew up with, but couple gone. Last year this time, good buddy I grew up with, elementary school, all through my life. Met him again in Los Angeles, 15 years clean. 6 months ago, called me, I got cancer, Mike. 6 months to live, they gave me, Mike. Went to New York, did the Harlem reunion, came back to LA, called me. Mike, the doctors gave me 2 weeks to 2 months to live. And my heart sank. And I thank God for what he had done for me. I thank God with all the ripping and the running and the using and the not using and everything I've done. No hepatitis C. Had that. Spirit said, take the treatment, I'll heal you. That was 1995. Hasn't showed up since. Blood work every 6 months. Total hip replacement. Play racquetball twice a week. I don't know about now because I played some racquetball Saturday and I tweaked something and it's like, I don't know if I'll be playing no more, Dave. But I look at my life in a whole different set of light. I look at the grace and the beauty that God has afforded me. I look at the friendships that I have. I look at those that I would like to have friendships with, and I reach out to them in an effort to create that. I don't do that stuff, man. I look to love unconditionally. Today is, and sometimes I think I've gotten like a little wisp in recovery. Today is my dog's birthday, and he's 9 years old, Deuce. He's my golden. And I woke up this morning and I thought about him. And I said, man, I said, that's my best friend. What if people could love the way dogs and animals do? Unconditionally. No good, no bad, no right, no wrong. Just love you, man. Me and Deuce, I've had him since 8 weeks old. We've been all around the country together. He's been in all my relationships with me. He's adapted to whatever I did. He's adapted. And then when he's had his moments, I've adapted with him. What if we could be that way, man? One of the major downfalls and pitfalls of recovery is that we judge each other. We find fault with the very things that got us to Cocaine Anonymous. The very things that plagued our spirit to cause us to become altered in our living. And when we see people going through stuff, instead of us upholding them and supporting them, we castrate them and talk about them and find fault with them. And not have my heart pour out to them and ask, how can I help you? Sometimes it's just a kind word. That's it. Sometimes it's just a, man, I'm glad to see you, man. How you doing? There's so much more to this than talked about from the podium and sharing our experience, strength, and hope. There's so much more to this. There's in between the line stuff. There's spirit world. There's the fourth dimension. It's God's house. It's where he lives. And it's where I know he wants me to live with him. So that means I have to abandon and shed this physical stuff that I've learned all these years. I have to learn how to love my neighbor as myself. I don't care what's going on with you. Because your humanness is going to pick up human traits. I have to learn how to do unto others as I would have others do unto me. If you don't want nobody messing with you, don't mess with nobody. Watch what the universe gives back to you. If there's something specifically that you want to do as far as employment or career or whatever, put it in the universe. See if God don't give it to you. One of my dreams and aspirations was a recovery program, not treatment, for heroin addicts and opioid addicts. Preferably heroin addicts, because my brother next to me, the doo-wop crooner, 50, slick boy, woman's man, heroin addict too, died from an overdose. And one of my dreams and aspirations is Edward's house for heroin addicts. And I put it in the universe. And God sent a young man to me I had sponsored 9 years ago in Austin, Texas, and said, Mike, I had a vision. And the vision is I want to start a treatment program for heroin and opioid addicts. I said, oh, no shit. He said, yeah. He said, the next deal that came was that you sponsored me over 9 years ago, but I want you to come back to Austin and be the director of my program. I said, no shit. So I smiled, and to myself, in my spirit, I said, look at God. He'll give you the desires of your heart. I get in trouble when I try to paint the picture. I like to paint, unfortunately, and I'm not a painter. Y'all didn't get that. When I pick up the brush and I start painting, I'm in trouble. I got to let God take the brush and grab God's hand and follow his movement. Once I learn how to do that, something happens to the picture on the canvas. It turns out exactly what God would have it to be and not what I think it should be. As a result of what we do here, I'm engaged for a third time and about to get married on December 2nd. Where I'd said, I ain't marrying nobody. I ain't doing it again. So different. Relationship is so different. Women and recovery and sex and lust and all that has been an Achilles heel for me, like I know it is for a number of men in this audience and women. And you might be in a mindset that God can't do anything about that. God can do something about that. He can do something about anything that plagues your spirit. See, being who I am, real addict, man, I cannot afford to have my spirit tampered with. Because when it's tampered with, it's only heron knocking on the door. If I stay restless, irritable, discontent for too long, sooner or later the thought's gonna come, and the thought's gonna say, it's a good idea, Mike, to have an ice cold beer. You shoot dope, you don't drink. You despise alcohol. Have a drink, or hit a joint. 30 years later, bunch of them in recovery where I come from. CA-LA, where CA started. Bought the lie. This time it'll be different. Or I can drink sociably, or I'm normal now. Thank God I've not entertained that idea, man. My truth is that I'm shooting dope again. My truth is that if I don't stay centered and I don't do what you people have taught me to do, Heron's gonna come one day, grab me by the hand, and take me with it. Why? Because didn't it always for 20-something years? No resistance, no fight. And even in the moments where there was resistance and fight, didn't I go anyway? What's the truth of my dilemma? Have I surrendered to really what's going on with me? So if you're in a piece of work and you're writing inventory, are you writing like the dying? If you're in amends and you're in the 9th step and you've done 1 through 9, the way the book talks about, I'm a book guy, yeah, the way it talks about, not something somebody's made up. We got people that make up shit for the big book. It's all mapped out in that book. I don't have to make up nothing. Do I do it the way they tell me to do it? And do I complete every single amends? Like the dying. I'm back in amends again for the umpteenth time. There's some people I gotta go to. Gotta go to. I don't have an option. I got emotional harm I need to clear up. I got financial harm I need to clear up. And I gotta go. For what? Not per se for the amends, for the intent of the 9th step. To fit myself to be of maximum service to God and the people about me. Somebody has to see that we're different. We're not like the rest of the world. I truly believe we are God's chosen people. Some of us, not all of us, have come from the dregs of society. We never knew there was a life like this. Somebody in here, you've been on a job for a number of years and you haven't walked off. I'd walk off a job and take something with me every time I walked. Somebody in here, you've been in a marriage for a number of years and you're actually a husband to your wife. You're treating her like a loved one. You're treating her like she's worthful. You become willing to take the low road. Humility, humble. There's a program between the lines here. The steps are not a cure-all. The steps are a beginning. It says, be quick to see what religious people are about. Take use of what they have to offer. But we get people that come to the podium, they bash religion. When our textbook tells us to seek them out. Everybody in the church ain't a hypocrite. Same thing here. Everybody in the rooms ain't a hypocrite either. Somebody's really on the path. Somebody really wants what we have to offer. But are you willing to go to any lengths to get it? And in your spirit and in your soul, where you really live, have you surrendered to who you really are? In and of yourself, there is no power to do anything. Your rising in the morning is a gift from God. Because somebody went to sleep last night, they didn't wake up this morning. You're walking on 2 legs every day is a gift from God. Because somebody's got a pain and they can barely walk. You're being able to eat what you want to eat when you want to eat it, whenever, is a gift from God. Because somebody's hungry right now. Somebody in here this afternoon, you know what I'm talking about. Somebody else in here this afternoon, you don't have a clue about what I'm talking about. Stuck in the idea that it's about drugs and alcohol, and it's not about drugs and alcohol. The greatest gift that I've been given since I've been in Cocaine Anonymous is to find out that my problem is about my thinking, and that my thinking has to be altered. The way I look at the world and the way I look at God and the way I look at his people has to change. If it doesn't change, I'm doomed to suffer and die. Not necessarily 6 feet under, walking around a dead man, vegetable. No use to myself, no use to nobody else. What a way to live. So I'm just grateful, man, that the steps ain't all we got here. We got so much more here. Told you I wasn't your normal CA, make you laugh, jolly sponsor, speaker. It's about planting some seeds to get you to think about some stuff. It's about hopefully getting you to be willing to move to another level in your recovery and becoming a recovered addict or recovered alcoholic, where the obsession to drink or the obsession to use is removed. And you become willing to use what's given to us as a result of a solution. And it's very simple. The message is very simple. The message is we can recover. You can recover. The message is there's a God with open arms just waiting for you, with whatever you think your problem is. Because whatever you think your problem is only a thought. It's really not your problem. It ain't a problem. I found out God can handle anything if I let him. My problem is a lot of times I don't want to let him. I want to do what I want to do. And I find myself up against the wall one more time. So I'd like to admonish you to look between the lines. I'd like to admonish you, if you're compliant, surrender. I'd like to admonish you, follow the dictates of your sponsor An individual that's properly armed with facts about themselves. He's not your sponsor because of the way he dresses, or he's got jewelry or a big house or a lot of money. Hopefully he's your sponsor because he does what we do here. He's a part of the healing team that God has anointed to be here. This is God's house. This is God's house. Any meeting that you walk into is God's meeting. The 12-step fellowships were created by God for man, to get man back home to God. Take advantage of it. If you're suffering, watch your life. I dare you. I dare you to tap in 100%. I tell you to put the desperation in, like the book says, of a drowning man. Put the same energy into your recovery that you put into your drinking and your using. I dare you. I dare you to become selfless. What can I do for you? Give somebody the last dollar that you have. I dare you. I was just in Austin, and a young man said, "Man, I like that hat you got on." I said, "You want it?" And I gave it to him, and the only reason why he couldn't keep it was because it didn't fit, but I was going to give it to him. Why? Because God would give me another hat. My job today is to make you happy. My job today is to add to your life. My job today is to be an instrument and a vessel for God to move through and use to bring light, not only to you, but to the entire world. Do you do it perfectly, Mike? No, I don't do it perfectly. Still got some defects and flaws that need to be straightened out, but do it a lot better than I did 30 years ago. My grandkids actually call me Pawpaw. They've never seen me loaded. My daughter has never seen me loaded. My daughter is a wife to her husband. My son is a father to his son and a husband to his wife. And they want me around. Just coming here is such a blessing because it says somebody wants you around, Mike. I don't know if you like me, man. Talking to the real one, the mad dog. Nobody wanted you around. Nobody wanted to share nothing with you. They saw you coming, they started hiding shit. The blessings and miracles of this program, the movement that happens in the recreation of your life from the inside out, as a result of me surrendering to what we really do here. What do we really do here? We serve God. Somebody don't like that. Sorry. We serve God. Our sharing and our speaking at conventions is testimony to the glory and the goodness of God. That's it. I'm not putting no chaser on it. If you can't understand that yet, then keep coming back. Maybe one day you will, but this is God's house. Treat it like God's house. I go into meetings, I don't take my cell phone. If I don't have an hour for you guys, there's something wrong with that picture. If I don't have an hour for the new man, there's something wrong with that picture. Or to sit attentively and listen to a speaker or listen to the sharing. Something wrong with that picture. That's just me. That's my deal. It's kept me here 30 years, though. It's given me a life beyond my wildest dreams. I thought that shit was so corny. I come from an era where you can say corny shit. And I thought it was corny. It ain't corny today. Happy, joyous, and free. Getting ready to get married for a third time and actually looking forward to it. Looking forward to sharing my life with another human being, and what can I bring to the equation? Not what can I take from it, what can I bring? How can I make you happy? How can I take the low road, man? That's what you need? Okay, babe, you got it. Oh, you don't like that? Okay, I'll sit with it and grow together. I love Cocaine Anonymous. I love what we do here. I love what we do in between the lines. The steps are a vehicle to get to what's in between the lines. That's where the magic is. Magic happens here. Have you tasted the magic? Thanks for letting me share. I need to ask, who is the newest? Anybody here under 30 days? Anybody here under 30 days? They forgot to give this big book out last night. Who's under 30 days? Raise your hand if you're under 30 days. Y'all come on up and get this big book. Tell them who you are. Huh? Tell them who you are.
I'm Ronald. I'm addicted, and thank you very much for this beautiful 3 days. Lekker hier. Thank you.
All righty.
Can I just make people aware that we've not finished yet? We've got a closing ceremony, and we would like to invite someone needs to be the chair committee 2018. Is that it? Did you want to speak? Someone from the 2018 committee? From the other room, if they want to come in, they come in, no? Okay, though.
Mark, here he comes.
Your man here with the glasses wants to speak as well.
Ik ben Mark, ik ben verslaafd. Ik doe dit even in het Nederlands, omdat het de CA Nederland eigenlijk aangaat. Ik ben gekozen en daar ben ik erg dankbaar voor als conventievoorzitter van 2018. Daar ben ik natuurlijk super dankbaar voor. Dit jaar hebben we een super tof evenement neergezet. Zelf heb ik vorig jaar de registratie gedaan en dit jaar het Hotel Liaison. Dat bevalt me echt, het me echt onwijs goed bevalt. En ja, ik hoop dat we volgend jaar ook weer met een te gek team staan natuurlijk. Dus we need your help. Dus ik heb een oprichtingsvergadering bedacht. Op 13 oktober in Leiden. Dat is aan de Groenesteeg 66. Dus ja, als je dat allemaal kan onthouden. Als je ergens in oktober bent, denk er gewoon even aan. De penningmeester is al bekend. We zoeken dus nog een registratie, outreach, fundraising en events, auction en lottery, lottery raffle, webmaster, merchandise, decoration, hotel liaison, hospitality, ceremoniemeester en fix-it en geluid. Dus als je iets wilt doen voor de conventie, kom 13 oktober naar Leiden. Dankjewel.
Hello, my name is Daniel. I'm an addict, and I am standing here, really, in awe of what happened all this weekend. You know, it's really beautiful, and seeing still so many people here. You know, it's waiting till the end, and yeah, it just gives me goosebumps everywhere. So that makes me really happy. As you all may know, I have been responsible for the lottery raffle and auction as well, and also for the entertainment. So thank you all for being there yesterday evening. It was really beautiful. I hope you all enjoyed it. And we ended the whole auction because we had only a small time slot to finish everything up. So the silent auction is now officially closed. So thank you everyone for bidding, and of course afterwards the closing ceremony, come and claim your prize, and of course pay, because otherwise we won't let you out. Bye bye.
Hello, my name is Daniel and I'm an addict. Thank you very much for playing the darts on the Unity table. And I want to announce the winners. Is there anybody here from Rotterdam? Eric, for example. From Dublin. Well, Dublin, congratulations. You won a cake. Please come and contact me so that I can send it to you in Dublin. Which meeting? The points, do you want to know the points? Yeah, 18.5. You were the last. And it was a terrible score, but it's not about the score, it's about the participation. Thank you very much.
Whew. Okay. Where are we at? We're here. Still here. We're getting there. Thank you, Mike D, for a great share. Are there any other CA-related announcements?
We have an Irish convention. Yes, in case you didn't know. It's taking place on the first weekend of November this year, the 3rd, 4th, and 5th. If you want any information, just let us know before we go, or reach out to us via the website, CA-HOLLAND. Thank you. Yeah.
Pascal?
CA barbecue in Alkmaar.
Okay. Muriel, over there. Claudia, sorry.
Unity Day in Berlin. First CA event in Berlin.
Very important. Everyone who works with me needs to be there. Okay. Any others? There is a solution. That's right. That's right. Okay. Now we're going to. I'm going to introduce Aisling, who's going to run our closing ceremony for this convention.
Did you give a... This one at the back there.
They're handing it out. Everyone's busy. Is that all right, the height? So bring it down.
Just one each, half them on, give the rest. Stop on that, yeah?
Yeah. I don't know where she is now. She should be here somewhere. Alicia. Yeah. Is she in the room? Alicia is there now. Alicia. There she is. There. Yeah. Yeah. She needs a microphone or whatever. She knows how to do it.
Good to go.
Everybody got paper, yeah? Everybody got paper. Mark. Pens.
Ladies and gentlemen, there are a few found objects at the registry desk, like purse, slippers, found in the Sober Fun Lounge. So I think somebody got too loungy and forgot their stuff. So, and there are a few sunglasses, and I really like them. So if you don't pick them up, they're mine. No, just kidding. No, but they're at the registration desk, so thank you.
Welcome everybody. When we had our Irish convention last year, because it was our fourth weekend one, we wanted to end it like with God. We come here, we talk about God, we talk about how we get into contact with God, and we realised that even though we talk about it, we didn't actually do much praying or whatever. So anyway, at the end of the Irish convention, we put together a little prayerful ceremony, and that's what Nick asked me to do today to end the weekend, to put together like a little prayer thing. And because I'm Catholic, it's probably a little bit Catholic-y, so I'm just apologising if I offend anybody with that, but it's not my intention. That's just, it's just a method of prayer that works for me, and I just wanted to share it with everybody and to end the convention with God. So I'll start with the opening prayer. God of light and love, thank you for the gift of this time we have shared together this weekend in the spirit of fellowship, connectedness, and healing. Lord of challenge and change, stay with us as we all leave this space and move into the different directions of our lives in the days to come. Now I'd like to invite Nadia to read a poem.
Overcoming obstacles. Lost in the dark depression, not knowing where to turn, I opened the window to my soul to see what I could learn. I swept up the depression, scrubbed the sadness and the hurt. I put it all in trash bags and set it by the curb. I found, stashed in a corner, tucked high upon a shelf, a treasure chest of knowledge that I could love myself. And wherever my future takes me, I know that I will win because I opened the windows to my soul and let the light shine in.
Now I would like to invite everybody to close your eyes and notice your breath flowing in and out. Notice how you breathe unconsciously without any effort or thought. Feel the rise and fall of your chest. Breathe in slower now and allow your body to relax with each breath in and each breath out. The prayer that I've decided to use, it's a Jesuit method of prayer called the Examen. And when Bill Wilson wrote the big book, back then meditation was like, if you looked at it in the dictionary, it was a method of using your mind in a contemplative way. And that's what this prayer is about. So in this quiet space, I invite you each to ask for light and guidance as we begin this process. Not just to remember the weekend, but to see it with the eyes of grace and understanding. Let us walk back through the weekend, all the experience you've shared, the laughter, the times hearts were moved, tears shed, connections made. Mentally walk back through the past few days and see with the eyes of gratitude every gift that you've received. Maybe it was identifying with someone. Maybe it was connection. Maybe it was sitting around breaking bread with your fellows, or hearing the miracle of sobriety time and time again. We will now take a moment or two just to recall these moments. As you recall and relive these moments, I invite everyone to notice how you feel as these feelings come up. Maybe the memories are positive or negative, painful or pleasing. Pay attention to the different emotions that rise as you recall the weekend. Or maybe you can't feel anything at all. Now take one of these feelings and invite your God into your feeling. Whatever it is that caught your attention, trust that this is something important for you. Whatever the feeling that comes up, allow a prayer to come from your heart to tend to this feeling. It might be a prayer of thanks, cry for help or forgiveness. And now, you might wonder why you have paper and pen. And the reason why, Esther, is this is an opportunity now for you to take anything that has come up for you and to, as an action, write it down on the paper. And I have a little cardboard box with candles around it. And if you feel you want to, you can come forward and with your piece of paper and leave whatever you want to let go, leave it with your God here today and just let it go. Anything positive, something negative, or if you don't want to do it, that's totally fine. If you want to take everything home with you, that's good too. But if there's anything that has come up for you that you want to leave behind, you're more than welcome as a gesture and as an action to write it down and come up to the front and drop it into the box. Thank you all for being so brave. And I just pray that you can leave it here now and not take it back. So again, if you want to close your eyes, we're coming to the end of this little moment together. I invite everybody to think about tomorrow. And whatever feelings come up about tomorrow, any anticipation, I ask that you invite your God back into that and to walk with you tomorrow and every other day with whatever needs you have that come up. And where you're sitting with your eyes closed, if you all want to join me in saying the Serenity Prayer. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change things that I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Now I'd like to invite Nick up to say the closing prayer, and we'll end it with Alicia's going to sing a song for us.
Father, we thank you for the trust and the love that binds us all together, aware that selfishness is what keeps us apart. Keep us united in the love and spirit of our beautiful fellowship has taught us about, and that gives meaning to our lives. Help us to draw encouragement from each other from here on in. Amen.
Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. I once was lost, but now I'm found. Was blind, but now I see. It was grace that taught my heart to fear, and grace my fears relieve. How precious did that grace appear the hour I first believed. Too many dangers, tolls and snares I've already come. This grace has brought me safe this far, and grace will lead me home. The Lord has promised good to me. Is a world my hope secure. He will my shield and portion be, as long as life endures. When this flesh and heart shall fail, and more to life shall cease, I shall possess within the field a life of joy and peace. When we lay in there 10,000 years, bright shine ning as a soul. We've no lives to sing God's praise than when we first begin. Thank you.
Well done, Holland. You rocked the shit out of the convention. Woo! Now, would everybody like to join around in a large circle to end it completely properly with our serenity prayer? Boom.